Let's take a minute now and talk about business trajectory. And I think it's an interesting point and a topic that I talk about often. Many times people get caught up in what is the trajectory or the velocity of how the business should perform out of the gate. And that's really an open-ended question because you don't know. And the best way to measure that is by the best way to measure the relevance of your product is by the response of the consumer. I don't think, initially, I'm all about a quiet opening. I would do a quiet opening of whatever business I'm starting just to get a feel for what the customers are. And it's really, really important that you pay attention to what how your customers are reacting during your initial soft opening. And then pivot and adjust accordingly, because you never get a second chance for a first impression. Make sure that your business is on point. Make sure that you've thought everything through early on in your business, and so you can put your best foot forward. And then hopefully the adjustments that you make are minor once you're open. But make sure that you've given your staff time to adjust and acclimate to your expectation of running the business. And obviously make sure that everything that you're doing within your business is on point and efficient. So anyway, business trajectory, don't overthink it. I'm all about soft openings, and then when you feel like you've got it buttoned down, then turn the gas on. I want to spend a minute and talk about great leaders and great organizations. And I think it's really interesting how some people are able to inspire others. They're able to get people to go to battle for them, get in the trenches, get dirty, if you will. And other people can't. Some management styles are like dictators, and others are really more of a connection with their employees. And I think when you make that connection with your employees, you leave yourself in a position where you can inspire and mentor, and that's where the magic happens. Starting and scale, and starting a business and then scaling the business, two very different mindsets. When you're starting your business, think of your business as in a quantity of one. So think about, you have one product. In my case, let's just stick with Snap Fitness. We have one Snap Fitness gym, and we have one customer walking through the door. So for me, when I was building my company, I wanted to think first and foremost, what does that customer experience look and feel like? That's so important. Quit thinking about, how grand can this be? Can this be in multiple countries? What if I have 1,000 locations? Yes, you can have that mindset, but let's crawl, walk, and run. Crawling means you think about, what does that customer experience feel like for the first person that walks through my door, and make sure that you are on point on every facet of that customer experience. Once you feel like you have it down pat for one, then build your process around that, build your scale around that, but make sure that you have it right on one customer before you start thinking about how you're going to service 100 customers. All right, because that's all scale and systems and processes, which we can talk about at another time. But once again, don't think about handling 100 customers at first. Think about that first customer experience, make it be absolutely fantastic, and then build a process around that so that every customer walking through your door has that identical experience. Don't bring a slingshot to a gunfight. And what I mean by that, I'm shocked that when I'm talking to different business owners today who are feeling stuck, when they're not utilizing or embracing the online community. And to me, in today's day and age, if you're not embracing social media, if you're not embracing the online community, you are operating at a disadvantage from everyone else that's in your space, because you absolutely have got to be there, especially if you're in a product or consumer-facing product. Man, I tell you what, get in the game, and if you don't understand it, hire someone who does. Let's spend a minute and talk about MVP, which is an acronym for Minimal Valuable Product. Minimal Valuable Product. And this is an important acronym because in many cases, when people are thinking about product or they're in product development, you have to think about what is the minimal valuable product that I can bring to the market today, and then enhance it down the road. Here's the problem, and especially when you're talking about software development, you can get caught up in what they call scope creep, where you're constantly enhancing and tweaking it, and you never get to market. And every day that passes, every month that passes. It just requires more capital for your launch. So early on, before you're even thinking about raising capital, think about what is the minimal value product that I can bring to market, and what is the cost and time it's going to take for me to get there, right? And then be disciplined. You see it all the time right now where people will give out a version 1.0, and they know that there's enough value, there's enough meat on the bone on that first version to get the consumer to react and respond and ultimately purchase the product. And then there's nothing wrong with enhancing it along the way. That's been going on since the beginning of time. I want to spend a minute now and just talk about the people. And this is a thought that just came to my mind just the other day, and because I always get asked, hey, Peter, you built an amazing company. How did you do it? Well, you know what? I'll tell you exactly how I did it. It starts with the people, and that's what companies are. Companies are built by people. They're not built by one individual. And it doesn't matter if it's a product or service. It's the people behind the product or service that matter. Okay, clearly leadership plays an important role, but my gosh, it starts. I always say, in my case, I was blessed and I was able to stand on the shoulders of so many great people in my 30 years within the health and wellness space. So for that, I'm forever grateful. And I love a quote from Richard Branson, who's one of my favorites, by the way. He's got so many great books out there, such a great mentor, such a great man, so philanthropic. But what Richard Branson said is, he said, people are like flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. And if you praise people, they flourish, which is very simple, right? It's a very simple. Here's what people relate to. People want a boss. And it doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the company or the department head of everyone that reports up to you. People want confidence, they want trust, they want praise, they want vision, they want a motivator, okay? So make sure those are all critical components to what good leadership looks like. I'm gonna say it again: confidence and trust and praise and vision and motivating, right? That's what people want. So understand, when you're behind a great company, behind every great company is great people. And I'm one of the lucky ones that had the good fortune of working for dozens of amazing people through my career. Hey everyone, hopefully you found the tips we spoke about today helpful. I guess at the end of the day, you know what, business and life, they're very similar. They're very similar. They're unpredictable. You've got to be fairly determined in life to get through the adversity. And when you do that, things become very rewarding. So, you know what, it takes perseverance, that no quit. It takes grit, which is one of my favorite words, grit, because it just means that you're just not a quitter. And you guys know how I feel about that. Being determined is such a great quality in the eyes of an entrepreneur. So everybody, hopefully you found it helpful, and be blessed. Have a great day. Ciao.